If the car sitting in your driveway right now cost you $35,000 and you'll scrap it at 150,000 miles, a fleet operator is running that exact same engine past 800,000 on the same roads, in the same weather, spending less per mile than you are. Not maybe. Not a lucky fleet. Not a commercial-grade engine you can't access. That is the fleet industry's standard operating procedure, and it exposes the biggest financial deception in the history of modern personal transportation. Everything your dealership, your service advisor, and your owner's manual ever told you about maintaining your vehicle has been carefully engineered to produce exactly one outcome. Your car dies. You buy another one. This is not planned obsolescence. This is something far more deliberate. Today, we're breaking down the maintenance lie, the three practices fleet companies have used for decades to extract 800,000 miles from the same engine you'll abandon at 150,000. And once you understand how this actually works, you will never look at a dealership service recommendation the same way again. But first, let's understand why every obvious answer is already wrong. Your mechanic would tell you fleet vehicles last longer because they're commercial grade. Wrong. Fleet operators run standard consumer vehicles. Ford F-150s, Toyota Camrys, Chevrolet Malibus. The exact same VIN sitting on any dealership lot right now. Your dealer would tell you it's because fleets get serviced more often. Wrong again. Fleet operators frequently service less often than the manufacturer recommends. Your first instinct might be better fuel, more careful drivers. Lighter daily use. Wrong. 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 Fleet vehicles live harder lives, constant cold starts, high idling hours. Drivers who feel zero personal attachment to the machine they're running into the ground. The difference isn't what they're doing more of. It's what they're doing differently. And the automotive industry has spent considerable resources making sure those differences never appear in your owner's manual. There are three practices, three specific decisions that separate a 150,000-mile car from an 800,000-mile car. We're going to break them down from the most accessible to the most powerful. And by the time we reach number one, you'll understand exactly why the maintenance lie exists, who profits from it, and what it has already cost you. Practice number 3. This one requires no special tools, no specialized knowledge, and no trip to any mechanic. The 2004 Ford Crown Victoria Police Interceptor. For decades, this was the workhorse of municipal fleets across North America, and departments were routinely logging 250,000 miles before a first major engine intervention. The difference from civilian Crown Vics running the same streets wasn't engine displacement or drivetrain spec, it was one decision. Load-based oil change intervals. Your owner's manual says, change your oil every 5,000 miles, maybe 7,000, 500, maybe 10,000 if you're running full synthetic. Fleet operators don't change oil by mileage. They change oil by thermal load, the actual stress the fluid has experienced. A vehicle doing steady highway miles in cool weather can run 12,000 to 15,000 miles with full oil integrity. That same vehicle doing city routes in summer heat starts and stops. Constant temperature spikes. High idle time needs a change at 4,000 miles, regardless of what the calendar says. The mileage interval in your owner's manual isn't science. It's a compromise, one number that works for no engine perfectly and keeps dealership service bays consistently full. Mileage-based servicing costs the average American driver $400 to $600 in unnecessary oil changes per year. That's $6,000 to $9,000 over the life of a vehicle you then scrap because the sticker on the windshield said it was time. And that is the least profitable practice fleet operators know. But thermal load servicing is just the entry point. Because practice number 2 is where the maintenance lie stops being an inconvenience and starts being a $47 billion annual extraction machine. Fleet maintenance managers at operations like Ryder, Enterprise Fleet Management, and ARI companies running hundreds of thousands of vehicles simultaneously execute something called fluid contamination monitoring. Not on a schedule, not on a calendar. They test the actual molecular composition of engine oil, transmission fluid, and coolant, and they only intervene when the chemistry demands it. They know, with laboratory precision, when a fluid has degraded beyond acceptable parameters. And what they find consistently across every make, every model, every climate is that the manufacturer's recommended service interval is almost entirely disconnected from the actual chemistry inside your engine. A 2019 Chevrolet Silverado fleet truck with $18,000 miles on an oil change would routinely show better fluid composition than a consumer vehicle with 5,000 miles on a fresh synthetic fill, because the fleet truck's oil was matched to its actual thermal load from day 1. The fluid monitoring approach isn't expensive. Basic oil analysis kits cost between $15 and $30 per test. But your dealership will never mention it. Why? Because if you only changed your oil when the oil actually needed changing, the $47 billion service industry built around scheduled maintenance collapses overnight. The interval exists for the dealer's cash flow, not your engine's longevity. If you've made it this far, you already understand more about how your car actually works than most drivers will in a lifetime of ownership. Share this with someone who's still trusting the sticker on their windshield. Subscribe so you don't miss what we expose next. Now, practice number 1. The fleet managers who've run 1 million miles of data. The mechanics who've torn down every engine configuration, built since 1985, they all point to the same thing. And it's the one practice manufacturers quietly removed from every consumer owner's manual sometime between 1980 and 1995. Engine break-in protocol, not the watered-down footnote still buried in some manuals. The actual industrial conditioning program that fleet operators inherited from commercial trucking and that every major engine manufacturer once included in full service documentation before they decided it was bad for repeat business. Here's the concept. In the first 1,000 to 1,500 miles of a new engine's life, the metal surfaces inside are still settling. Microscopic peaks on cylinder walls, piston rings, and bearing surfaces need to seat against each other under varied load and temperature conditions. Fleet operators run new vehicles through a deliberate varying load protocol during break-in, not constant highway cruising. Not aggressive city driving, but a structured sequence of acceleration and deceleration cycles across multiple RPM ranges that produces even, complete seating of every internal surface. A properly broken-in engine runs with less internal friction for its entire service life. Less friction means less heat. Less heat means less wear. Less wear means the engine reaching 150,000 miles still holds the internal tolerances of a 90,000-mile unit. And at 300,000 miles still within spec, at 500,000 miles still serviceable. Fleet operators running the 6, 7-liter Cummins diesel in heavy-duty Ram work trucks, the exact same engine available to any consumer who walks into a Ram dealership today, are documenting 700,000 to 900,000 miles before first major internal work. The engine is identical. The break-in is different. What would this practice cost you if manufacturers had kept it in the manual? Nothing. Not a single dollar. Not one dealer visit. A break-in protocol is zero cost, which is exactly why it disappeared. Because an engine that lasts 800,000 miles is an engine that doesn't get replaced. And an engine that doesn't get replaced is $35,000 to $50,000 in new vehicle sales. That never happens. Here's how to apply all 3 practices to the vehicle you already own. For practice 3, the next time your oil life monitor triggers, cross-reference it against how you've actually been driving. Short city trips, high heat. Frequent cold starts move your interval earlier than the sticker says. Extended highway driving in moderate temperatures, you have more room than they're giving you. The number printed on that little reminder on your windshield was calibrated for their revenue cycle, not your engine's chemistry. For practice 2, independent oil analysis labs run full fluid reports for under $30 per test. One test tells you more about your engine's actual condition than 10,000 miles of interval-based guesswork. Fleet operators treat this data like a vital sign, and so should you. For practice 1, if your vehicle has fewer than 15,000 miles on it, it is not too late. Varying your RPM range intentionally during daily driving. Avoiding sustained high-speed cruising in the first weeks of ownership. Allowing the engine to experience its full operating temperature range before any extended run. These habits compound over the life of the vehicle into measurable internal tolerances that no service interval can manufacture after the fact. And if you're buying rather than maintaining low-mileage fleet retirements are entering the private market right now. Trucks and sedans that completed full fleet service under these exact protocols, priced below comparable private sale mileage because buyers don't understand what the maintenance history behind them actually means. As new vehicle averages push past $48,000. These machines represent something the industry actively does not want you to recognize as valuable. The maintenance lie was never about your safety. It was never about your engine's needs. It was always about making sure your car dies on their schedule, not yours. Share this with one person still following the dealer's service reminder. And in our next investigation, we're going inside the dealer interface, the service menu your technician pulls up that you're never shown, exposing the 5 functions your dealership disabled in your car the day you drove it off the lot. Functions that are still there, still coded in, just locked away from you. Click the video on your screen now.